Good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever the case is for you. This isn't live. I'm not confined by the constraints of linear time. I think I am
Time
confined
and space.
Time and space. We've got a special show for you because I have a guest, a friend of mine that I've made over the course of the last few years on social media, and this is actually the first time we're actually getting to talk, so I'm very excited. He is an incredible content creator, always makes very good, engaging short videos with music and cool visuals. Tech extraordinaire, builder, player of many instruments, speaker of many languages. You can find him on social media as Jazzy Jellyfish, but I'd like to introduce my friend Kyle Schiefer.
Hello. Good to see you, Lyman.
Yeah, good to see you too. You were one of the first, quote unquote, big accounts to follow me in my initial jump into social media, and so naturally, I was like, "Oh, this is cool," and I checked out your videos. I was blown away. You blew up a few years ago for creating a 3D printed violin.
Yeah. I have it right here.
Oh yeah, I would love to see that.
One second.
So while Kyle has his headphones off, we'll just butter him up a little bit more. Great, tech stuff. I am a big fan of tech. I don't talk about that often. Now he's back.
Yeah, so actually we've got a little two-part right here because the original one that I built was this one, and it was made with PLA, polylactic acid, which is it's a kind of plastic, but it's not very durable, or it's not very heat resistant, and so you can see over the course of the years it's sort of it's taken a little bit of a beating and not fared too well. So this version 2 that I've been playing more recently. Did you hear that?
I did.
It's made with a carbon fiber filament, which has fared much better against the elements.
And is that a 5-string?
It is indeed. So it's got a low C string, which means it's both a viola and a violin at the same time.
A violinola.
Yeah.
I think I said this recently on one of the episodes, but my first instrument was the viola.
The viola?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't talk about it all that often because I didn't play the viola for that long.
I wouldn't either if I
Hmm?
were you. I wouldn't either if I were you.
Yeah. I switched to violin very shortly after. I only played viola for about a year.
I'm just kidding. Violas get no respect, but they're a legitimate instrument.
They're the bass players of the orchestra, except for the bass players.
Yeah. The original design of this violin was made by a friend of mine. His name's David Perry. OpenFab PDX. You can Google that or go to his website. He has been working on this design for quite a while and made different variations. I've been kind of experimenting with his plans. It's all open source, so you can edit his designs however you want and make your own tweaks and stuff. But it plays and it sounds decent.
Beautiful.
Proper violin, and it cost me about $50 worth of materials to make.
Really?
And yeah.
And how much time does a project like that take for you?
Well, this one in particular, a little bit less because since most of the design work was done by David, printing printing this thing only took about a day and a half, and the few parts that were not printed are it's got this carbon fiber truss rod running through it. Kind of see it there till the end piece, and then a little bit of the hardware. So this clip right here, which holds on the chin rest, and the strings themselves are not 3D printed. So after sourcing those, the assembly is probably a couple hours. A little bit of post processing was necessary. I had to file out the inside of these tuning to get it perfectly, so that there's friction. But yeah, I'd say the design is the most time-consuming part. And once you have the design, I could probably recreate one of these in 2 days.
That's handy. And something I've always wondered about, like the legality and the logistics. Like, say you wanted to produce that to sell to people because you used an open source. Is that allowed, or is that not legit?
Well, there are several different kinds of open source copyright licenses, right? David specifically is open source. It's completely open in
commercial use,
even for commercial use, exactly. So he appreciates credit for it, but he doesn't mind if you make money. His goal is just to see more 3D printed violins out in the world.
That is super cool. Like I may be in touch about one.
Yeah, absolutely. He sells his own, or he sells kits of them, and he sells pre-assembled ones that he builds himself as well. But for me, the joy was building it myself, and that's kind of what got me started on my whole journey is this robot luthier. So he's inspired me to take the first steps into what I've been doing.
Yeah, and I see that I see some tools back there, so it appears like you're in a workshop. So what are you doing?
So I've got quite a few different things here. I'll give you a little tour.
That's awesome, man. So now that we've seen your tools, what are you doing with them?
So I've mostly been focusing lately on building 3D printed guitars. And so this is the first one that I built, which also is an open source design. I didn't design it myself, but it's called the Prusicaster. It's by Mikolas Zusa, and it's a Telecaster clone, but all of the body is 3D printed. So kind of like the violin, you can see the core part of the body here. This is carbon fiber filament. So it also is going to fare much better against the elements and last a lot longer. But the majority of the guitar, this neck was stripped from a DIY Telecaster kit and installed the hardware, and it plays.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so building this guitar gave me a bit more insight into how guitars are made in the first place and all of the elements that are necessary to create them. And this has kind of been my springboard to building my own designs. And since then, I've built, so this is a tribute to Marceline, the Vampire Queen from Adventure Time. But she plays a battle axe bass just like this. And so I took all of the techniques that I learned from building these other guitars and applied them to putting them in a funny shape. And this also.
What pickup is that? That sounds like magnificent.
This guitar was also when I built this one, I was operating with a smaller printer. It's a Prusa Mark III, which has the build plate it's 240 by 240, I believe. But that didn't give me enough space to actually print the whole body of the bass. So I had to use, this is I found it for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. It was just like a cheap bass for children. And, but the advantage of that was the short scale neck.
Yeah, what is the scale length on that?
I believe the neck is, I think it's 17 inches, but let me check. There, I don't need this hat. So, yeah, so the neck is 18 inches long, and then from the nut to the bridge got 26.
26.
So,
wow, that's a super short scale.
Yeah, no, this is made for children, but that made it possible. But since then, I have gotten a larger scale printer using the Anycubic Cobra 2 Max now. You can see it right there. So it gets it's got a 500 millimeter tall build plate area. So with that, I have been able to expand my production a little bit and print some full-sized instruments. The next guitar I built, I don't have anymore, and it's not totally public yet. So I
want to know who it's for, so we can cut this out, and we're going to cut right here.
I did take the design that we used for her guitar and built this one for myself. So that's
a beauty.
Yeah, this is I guess it's cousin, but it's got lights. It's little lava river right there, and it's kind of interesting about this one is I used these translucent filaments right here to kind of create this igneous rock effect. So it kind of mixes the carbon fiber with this translucent orange, and then I filled this crevice with an epoxy resin mixed with different colors of nail polish, and then gave it kind of like a glossy coating at the end. But it too plays. I did not tune that before coming to prepare for this. So we got a few different guitar designs under my belt, and I've been building a couple other ones. This is a incomplete, but it's going to be a ukulele bass. And yeah, nice. So this is also 3D printed, and I used the filament is it's a wood PLA, so it's kind of similar to the other ones that I built, but this one is infused with sawdust. So
Huh.
the filament, when you print it, whatever you print kind of has some of the features that wood would have. So you can sand it, you can stain it, and yeah, I've even on the inside, these are piezoelectric sensors. So they pick up the vibration, but in a different way than traditional pickups would, because the traditional pickups will be sensing like the magnetic field when the string vibrates. And this is just picking up directly the vibration that the body of the instrument's making.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I've got it.
That's something I'm real interested in is like synthetic woods and what could be done to make like a synthetic wood sound more like a real piece of wood, or like have um, certain characteristics. Does the kind of sawdust affect that?
I am still in the experimentation phase with that, so I haven't replicated this design with any different flavors of wood PLA. So that would be an interesting thing to follow up with. But it also kind of goes into the age-old tone wood debate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where
And let's get some hot takes. Where do you stand on that for electric guitars specifically?
okay, specifically for electric guitars, I'm literally building guitars out of plastic. So yeah, I'm on team tone wood is negligible.
That's where I generally live.
Personally, yeah, I know most of the the great legendary guitars of the past. They kind of set the standard of everything being made of maple, ebony, mahogany. These specific woods, not because of any tonal quality that they grant to the guitar. It's what was available at the time for the best price from the wood suppliers that they had. So come at me, but
And you'll have to fight me too.
yeah. But what else do I have to show you? Oh yeah, I've got this one, which is incomplete, but another example of a different approach to a plastic guitar that I'm gonna be doing. Since a lot of my guitars have had this theme of the 3D printing, this little boat is called a benchy. It's basically, for the uninitiated, a calibration test for your printer, but it's a little bit complicated to print. So when anything is out of alignment on your printer, it will have defects in kind of a predictable way. So, for example, this particular one, the hole right here, you can see a little bit of wrinkling. That specific defect means that your nozzle is a little bit too hot. So it's kind of a tool to help you figure out what's going wrong with your printer, right? So it's a little bit of an icon within the 3D printing community. So what I'm doing with this is I've printed this mold in the shape of a guitar body that I'm going to be building, and I'm going to be filling it with all of these used benchies from previous calibrations, and I'm going to fill the whole thing with epoxy resin and use that as the template to carve out my body. And this is as far as I've gotten so far, but I'm looking forward to seeing that one come to completion.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And then since then, I've started investing in some proper woodworking tools. So you can see behind me, I got a table saw, a little router table underneath there that I made, and I've got on that back wall Q little tour, which I'll send you. This I've got this CNC machine, and I've been building some designs to be able to cut these guitar bodies out directly from a single block of wood. So this right here is going to be an electric ukulele. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and I've fine-tuned the program now to where I cut this from one piece of wood. So, I still have quite a bit of post-processing to do on it. We still need to make the fingerboard and finishing it as in the not which will contribute to its completion, but yeah. And then also, because it's so small, I'm going to have to make some custom pickups for this as well. So I built this custom pickup winder right here out of some spare parts. But basically, we've got a servo motor on the inside, and this is a part from a sewing machine that detects the needle, and it'll count the stitches from you. So I've inserted a magnet. into this bobbin holder right here, and every time it spins, it'll count the number of revolutions. And so with this, I'll be able to make my custom-sized pickups to fit any of these guitars or ukuleles.
I like that thing. I also built one of those, and you'll see a picture of it here, or maybe a small little video. Yours looks a lot nicer than mine and a lot more safe. Mine's not very safe. Like, I taped the magnet to count the revolutions with double sticky tape. It flew off multiple times, and I thought, maybe I should be wearing safety class today. Yeah.
But
that's another great podcast. And the bobbin has flown off.
Yeah. So I guess that's one of the advantages of using, the 3D printer to generate some of these components, right? Because this I 3D printed right here to hold the bobbin, and it's got a really strong magnet right there. And
what type of magnet is that?
It's an Alnico. I could scrap this and insert it into one of my pickups, but
cool.
It's front. I bought like a combo pack with a whole bunch of them
magnetized or unmagnetized?
No, it's magnetized. It's
the pack that you bought. Like, I'm real interested in magnets these days and wire. Like, I've been winding pickups like a madman, neglecting my regular work duty.
I guess enlighten me, because I'm still educating myself on this process. What do you mean in unmagnetized magnet?
I just bought a bunch of Alnico 3 rod magnets that aren't magnets, but they're Alnico 3 material.
I see. Like when you're building a humbucker, for example, you'll want the top row to be of each of those pins to be magnets, but the ones on the bottom are just dummy studs. Is that what you're referring to?
Like the Alnico rods, they aren't magnets at all, or they're not magnetic at all, but they become magnets when you pass them through a strong magnetic field.
Oh, I see.
Pickup winding is pretty simple because I can do it. I'm not too bright. It's just wire and magnets. The tricky thing I've heard is doing something repeatable, like the traverse of the wire, getting that the same every time.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm trying to build as an extension for this, which is it's not currently in a state to be able to show you, but it's an extension beyond here with a little gear system that will move the guide to the left and the right in kind of a systematic way, so that it's not functional yet. But prototype is in the works.
I may be asking you for help on that.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
I mean, I don't even have like a guide. Like, you know, they put the guide there that, you know, you wind the wires between. I've just been free balling it. Like, just
yeah, I mean,
there've been a lot of mistakes.
That's kind of had the interesting thing about it, is it still works when you do that. It's just, I guess, since I am trying to build this into, you know, a business, one thing I do need to focus on is replicability. Quality control. I need every single one to follow the exact standards. You know, I can't send out duds or anything like that. So that's one thing I'm trying to systematize. And
I'm building 7-string pickups for a buddy. And I asked, he's like, I'll pay you. And I'm like, you can pay me in more parts to build more pickups, but like there's going to be no system to it. So I'm just going to try to do what I did for the 7-string pickups I built. And if he doesn't like them, I'll tell him, you know, give them back, and I'll make you some more until we'll get ones that he likes.
All right. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I would like to build. I got a harebrained scheme last night at like 3 a.m. Like, I need to build a pickup testing guitar, something that I can drop pickups into without like having to solder or do too much screwing or anything. I've got a left-handed Strat body that I'm just gonna chop up, and then
is that the one you turned into a fretless?
Yeah, that was fretless Mark 1.
Yep, I remember that one. And then you played it on TikTok, and the camera was always inverted, so there was like 3 levels of reversal on the.
Oh yeah,
good times.
Speaking of the fretless, I just made a new nut for it last night. So it is getting closer and closer to being complete. But so like a pickup testing guitar, something that like has a bunch of holes so I can screw the pickup into different spots along the in relation to the string, because that has a lot to
really
do with.
Feasible. And I guess another thing that you could do to make it a lot simpler is installing like terminals at the end of the wires. So instead of having to solder it every single time, you know, you can have just plugs. And so
that was the plan, like solder terminals to the pots. And one thing I wanted to do is put 250k resistors like in series with the pots that I can turn on with a switch, so I can have you know, my 250k pot for single coil and 500k for humbuckers.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Like all I know about like resistance and coils and stuff was like what I learned when I was vaping. You know, if you built 2 coils in parallel, the resistance got cut in half. So I guess I would need to put a 500k resistor in parallel, or maybe I don't know. I'll have to do more research.
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the first vaping mention on the podcast ever. So there's that history being made. But yeah, like I have also really gotten into the whole Lou theory thing over the past couple years, and it's been a journey. It's a lot of fun. Like I'm just messing around, playing with a soldering iron, trying not to solder myself.
That's how it all starts. And I have managed to solder myself. Actually, even recently. Look at that. I got a little burn right there for not paying attention.
So this is all exciting stuff, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this goes.
As am I. Yes. Thank you.
To take a step back, like, how did your musical journey start, like, to begin with?
Well, started in 6th grade when I joined the orchestra. We all had to pick. A music class was mandatory for 1 year in 6th grade. Yeah, and so you could choose either band, orchestra, or choir. And I chose orchestra, and I started on the violin, and I loved it, and I kept playing. And by the time I got to high school, I wanted a guitar, but I never dropped the violin either. And I've been playing both for past, I guess, how long? 25 years I've been playing the violin, And I guess that would make it 21 years on the guitar, And it's been my main focus since the moment I started. So in high school, I kept playing in the orchestra. In high school, we had a jazz band, so I played guitar in that. I joined the choir as well. We even had my senior year, they offered an AP music theory class for like college credit. And my senior year, I had 4 music classes, and I opted not to take a lunch break because I wanted to take all 4 of my music classes. It was
so cool that they made music mandatory for a year.
Yeah, it was only 1 year, but the fact that they did, it changed the course of my life, right?
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
I said this on a previous podcast, but like I had no interest in music until my dad said you must try an instrument as soon as it was offered. So 5th grade for me. So you have to play an instrument. If you don't like it, you can quit after a year. So he basically made it mandatory, and it also changed the course of my life.
Look at you now.
For the better, I'm not certain.
Yeah, neither am I. But I'm not going to question it. It's where I am and where I'm going. It's too late for me to turn back. But I guess beyond that, I studied guitar performance in college as well. I went to University of North Texas, and
really, I didn't know you went to UNT.
Yeah, UNT. So I studied guitar there, and then after I graduated, I just kept playing, and I started writing music, and eventually I started producing my own albums, and then I got onto TikTok a few years ago to promote my last album, and the pace at which TikTok makes your music stale has kind of strengthened my composition muscle to, it taught me to just constantly be composing and producing something new, every week or every however many. I go through phases where I have more or less compositions, but it's taught me to, when you finish a song, not rest on your laurels, but it's time to make the next one. Boom. And it's funny how TikTok of all things has probably has made the biggest contribution to me as a composer, to just forcing me to constantly come up with new things all the time. And now it's kind of a streamlined process for me.
Yeah. And your tunes are great. Your
Thank you.
and the video editing is great. It's like if you wanted Bill Wirtz, but you went to Radio Shack and bought Radio Shack brand Bill Wirtz.
Yeah, make
And I'm a big fan of Bill Wirtz, so like, I mean that as a big compliment. And I'm a big fan of like tech and stuff as well. But like, I'm kind of an idiot and I don't understand a lot of it. But I like watching the tech stuff and tech videos.
I think a lot of the tech videos I make are not made with the intention of being accessible, and that's part of the fun, But I think there's a very small niche community that actually understands what it is, but I think part of the fun is just that it's kind of gibberish to most people. But
I mean, like I've heard of Hackintosh. I have no idea how to do it, but I've seen you reference that a couple times at least. And you're a Linux user. Am I correct?
I use all operating systems, but I've got. Well, I don't have any computers in here to show you, but actually, I kind of do. BMO back here is running Linux. It's got a Raspberry Pi inside, and it's a full-fledged computer system. You can play games or do that. Got this box down here. Runs some services for me, and I watch YouTube on it. It's running Windows. And over here, got my main workstation, which is a Hackintosh, which I built myself. It is a Hackintosh, which is it's a PC that I built, but I have hacked it into thinking it's a Mac, and it runs Mac OS, and it is very pretty.
I need a new computer. It is time. Like I've been looking for, I've been planning the big upgrade of my just general setup, but the money I'm supposed to save for that, I'm just putting into pickup parts. So
it is the curse of the professional musician, right?
I might have to start selling some pickups online just to fund my pickup hobby. Just everything goes back to that, and I can start saving money for the big upgrade. We'll definitely have to share data.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll give you some walkthroughs. I'll help guide you through the process.
And I definitely want to share pickup data with you.
Yes, please. I would. I'm kind of figuring out how to do this, on my own from YouTube University. So
that's where I went.
Hey, yeah.
But UNT was the college that I really wanted to go to. But I didn't end up going. Did you play in any of the lab bands there?
I didn't play in any of the lab bands, but I did kind of a weird thing. I graduated early, and
right on.
Yeah, so my lab credits mostly went toward. I played violin in the orchestra there, and I played. All right, I sang in the men's chorus, and I also took gamelan ensemble, Indonesian folk music. It's and I also South Indian percussion ensemble. I took a bunch of really random, unrelated, world music classes to get those credits in time, and I didn't do any lab bands, but.
I think studying world music is far more valuable than studying jazz.
I got plenty of jazz exposure while I was there, and I listened to I listened to so much jazz especially during college. But I still listen. Yeah, it's a huge element of how I play, and not just jazz guitarists, but I listen to all of the great saxophone players, pianists, and I integrate a lot of those melodic ideas into how I conceptualize music too. And
I mean, like, I don't really listen to guitar players, which is for my jazz education. I saxophone, that, like, their ideas are always my favorites. So
yeah, I've always my favorite jazz albums have always been more mostly saxophone centric stuff. I've some of my Charlie Parker, Cannonball Adderley, John Coltrane, and those are the big ones, obviously. But Sonny Rollins, one of my the Bridge is one of my favorite albums. Oh, actually, that's got Jim Hall on it, I think, right?
Is there guitar on the Bridge?
Yeah, especially that first track, Without a Song. That's one of the I think Without a Song is one of the tracks that got me, like, kind of more invested into guitar's role in jazz, because it's kind of this call and response between Sonny Rollins and Jim Hall. Yeah, and then he comes back with the and
Jim Hall's a master.
Yeah.
Like I love Jim Hall, but I love Sonny Rollins too.
Yeah,
like he his ideas, like he can live on an idea.
Absolutely. Another one of my favorite albums also has him on it. It's Sunny Side Up. The one with Sonny Stitt and Miles Davis, and there's this lore surrounding it where Miles Davis he called both of them, and he was like, "Hey, Sonny Rollins has been saying you're not very good," and then he was like, "Hey, Sonny Stitt's been saying you're not very good," and then, like, they both come in, like, it's like a battle between the two of them, like, from this fake argument that he instigated, but like the result's epic, and it's like 18 minutes of just shredding. And
that Miles was something else. He was something else. I wonder, had he got a second chance at life, with all the if in 1990 instead of passing on, he became 20 years old again. I wonder what he would be doing today with all of the knowledge that he had from before. Like
in today's environment.
Because he sure as hell wouldn't be playing bebop.
Because, if you look at... yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit different now because you don't really think of trumpet as a lead instrument in the same way that it used to be back in the day. And so, outside of the jazz world, I can't really think of, much music that really features, trumpet as the main voice. And it would be interesting to see, like, if he were generating, music in today's environment, how that would fit in.
I mean, my questions are not very deep. Like, would he use a pedal board? I mean, probably. He'd probably be using a pedal board.
Yeah.
Might have been doing that, like, back, in the late 80s. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess, like, some of his, Herbie Hancock has, kept it going up to the modern day.
You got any big projects coming up?
Well, my biggest projects at the moment have been completing a lot of these loose ends that I've just shown you, and kind of building on some of my tools as well. So I just I'm occupying out of half of this room, right? I'm working out of half of this room, so I don't have all that much workspace. So I've been kind of trying to improve my tools in a way that conserves space. So I've got these racks that have all of these tools. I can use my bandsaw and my drill press from that rack. I've got my CNC machine there that I can operate from that shelf, sitting on top of my 3D printer. I've got this router table inside of my table saw. So I've been the past few weeks I've spent moving into this workshop have been kind of rebuilding some of my tools to make everything fit in a sustainable kind of way and building a workflow. But yeah, my next short-term goal is kind of streamlining this whole process so that I can mass produce these instruments in a way that I can start selling them. Because a lot of these projects have been a joy to make and turned out very nicely, but they cost me a lot of money and took months to do, and that's not a way to run a business. So I've been taking all of the elements from my process that have been good enough and actually learning what I need to do to make it proper, and making everything efficient and with less margin for error, and just figuring out how I can do this properly so I can turn it into something more.
Well, I have big faith that you're gonna
I appreciate that.
crush this industry, and you'll find your little niche you can carve out. But I'll be here to support.
And I'm looking forward to making the Lyman Lipke signature model when that happens.
This is an announcement, but not going to give you all the details yet. All I want to say about it is there is a market inefficiency for 7-string guitars that don't look like shred machines, and that don't cost that are in the middle of the price range of either $300 or $3,000. There's nothing in the middle.
Right.
So I would like to see something in the middle.
Yep. I think that's a worthwhile goal, and I support this.
And that's all we'll say for now. But keep your eyes peeled, because things are happening.
Things are happening.
Well, again, where can the people find you?
So I'm on social media as Jazzy Jellyfish. I've got TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I also publish my 3D print designs to the public, so you can make most of them on your own. There's links to all of this on my website, jazzyjellyfish.com, which also has a merch shop, which includes some graphic tees and fun stuff like this. This is the Jazz 69 oversized guitar pick.
Nice.
Yes, available for purchase. And hopefully soon, some of these guitars and violins that you're seeing will also be available on the shop as well. And hope to see you there.
Yeah. So I'm starting a new tradition anytime I have a guest. I'm going to end it with this question. Do you think it is necessary to be able to recognize a dominant chord if you want to play jazz?
If you want to play jazz? I'd I'd say yes. Or that that. Let me think about this before I answer.
Sounds like a dumb question, right?
I guess to me, the ability to recognize the dominant chord feels like a very fundamental element of jazz knowledge, but I've also encountered some very gifted players that don't know the names of anything they play and they can rip. So in my conceptualization, the way I learned it, it seems like a foundational building block, but I do subscribe to the idea that there's not a right way to learn. So if somebody reaches that place without learning that I'd be interested to have seen their path that got them there, but I do think it is possible.
Very diplomatic answer. I like it. Yeah, I think it's a prerequisite. Like, if you can't rip and you can't hear a dominant chord, like, you're not gonna be able to play jazz.
Yeah, I'd say I know that you like pushing buttons with these kinds of questions, so I wasn't sure which direction you were gonna be going with.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a previous podcast, the entire time I just shared a story about an argument I got. That's my favorite segment on this podcast when I do it alone. Is I got in an argument.
Ooh, do you share the wall of shame?
No, the wall of shame is pretty. The hall of shame is pretty hidden, but like you can find it if you want. I just don't advertise it because. You know.
I'm subscribed to the wall of shame. I get notifications. It's one of my joys in life.
Well, then you can see the whole conversation that I had with this person. You should probably be able to hear a dominant chord. It's not going to hurt.
Oh yeah, I agree that it's a fundamental I'd say yes, necessary. I'm just I have been trained to, as a teacher, to recognize the legitimacy of alternative learning paths, but I do think that it is one of the most important things you can learn.
Yeah, and I like that as well. Like alternative learning paths. Like everybody learns differently, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm never gonna dog on anybody's, how they learn something or how they think of something, unless
they're a jerk about it.
Exactly. Unless you're a jerk, then you get my full snark, But Kyle, it was great having you on. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this. Yeah, I had a great time.
As did I.
And I hope we'll do this again sometime.
I would love to. Hopefully, I'll have a few of these projects complete and some more new stuff started, and look forward to sharing them with you.
Awesome! I can't wait to see it. Well, until next time. Right. This was the Lyman Lipke Guitar Cast.
Toodaloo.
Bye.